How's things?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah, it's interesting for me. You're actually the last original member of Babylon A.D. I've ever spoken to.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so
I mean, you've had done interviews with everybody else or something, or it's just you
yeah,
only yeah?
yeah. Over the
Hey.
years, I started off with Ron many years ago,
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
then got to talk to Derek a few times,
How
and
about
we got
Rob? Did you ever talk to Rob?
yeah on the cruise in 2015. Yeah,
Ah, cool. All right, right on.
so
Yeah, you know,
I met you
but
briefly then for a few seconds. So shook
where,
your
where,
hand.
where where did we meet? At the cruise?
Yeah, just very briefly. So
Okay.
I'll put the picture up. But yeah, great talk to you. So
All right, good.
you relocated to the city of sin.
Well, I mean, I could tell you probably the most accurate story of how of any question you probably really would want to know. I mean, drummer,
Oh,
but I've been involved in a lot of the all the campaigns that we did on our own since 1999 when we took over. After we reformed the record company and stuff, and then and I was looking at all the CDs that Derek and I put out together, and manufactured together and
yeah,
put out into, and it was like six or seven, we did.
yeah, because you did the blues one many
Yeah,
years ago, didn't you?
and I was counting that one too. My brother, my brother
2005.
actually, my brother got to play on that for a little while too, which was really cool. My
Yeah,
younger
it would
brother
have
Eric.
been because he sadly passed, didn't he, a few years ago now,
Yeah,
too.
man, it was a big shock when I moved here to Las Vegas. I mean, I was only here for like a week, and he was just having some weird back problems and stuff like that, and I don't know, I think he just his health deteriorated, and I think he had a bad reaction to like a drug called prednisone or something like that, and there was a lot of other things that was happening, and it just God, it was just so tragic. He was such a wonderful brother and bandmate and companion, and Jesus Christ, he got me into playing music, so
Oh wow, and
yeah,
so young as well. Yeah,
yeah.
it's no age really. So you've moved. I mean, you've obviously been with Babylon AD since the very start, an original member,
Yeah,
and now I was actually quite surprised to see that you sort of like called it a day. Was it
I
is it
know
a
I don't think I'd say call it a day, but you know, I mean, I'm the longest tenure in the whole band. I mean, I got to say that is because, I mean, Derek's always like, put the band on hold to do
yeah
other things, and stuff. And at other different times of the periods of the bands, some of the guys would split, like Ron kind of took a little break for a while, and Rob did, and my brother replaced him, and then Danny replaced John, and then John replaced Danny. But it's never really gone out of the family like that. I mean, the only real outsider I think within it was like Danny and my brother, I mean, because John was me and
was
John
there at the
started the
start? Yeah,
together. It's cool to see him do, he's, continuing on, and he's, leaving behind some legacy and stuff because he needs to do that. But right now, man, I've just done this so many times, dude. I mean, I've done like, the Cock Rock Sunset Strip shit. Now I'm all into the Las Vegas Strip now. I want to be in the
why
shit.
not? I mean, it's a great
I mean,
place.
it's a kick-ass freaking town, and my girlfriend and I have built a really cool conceptual band. It's a tribute band, but we built a
Mm.
cast, and we have a cast of players that we have in Northern California and up here in Vegas, or down here in Vegas. And we bring them on the road with us. We staff the gigs, and whatever makes sense logistically and availability and stuff like that. And we got some now this
Yeah.
campaign coming up. It's going to be super exciting because we got some really like big names that are here, like Vegas singers that are here, pretty well known people that are want to be in our Duran Duran tribute band. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Did you see just the two Duran Duran the guys play? I think they were there last year, weren't
Yeah. My girlfriend and I went. Yeah, we were there. Uh-huh.
they?
It was
Yeah.
good. I mean, little different, little I don't know. Sometimes when there's some older renditions of Duran, like when they're touring with Nigel Roger and Ferroni, Steve
Yeah,
Ferroni, the drummer. He played with Tom Petty later, right? You know who I'm talking
yeah,
about,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh yeah,
God, I mean, I'm talking that stuff, that music, when those guys are executing with all those other gentlemen, man, I swear to God, it's badass, all right.
yeah.
So so we try to demonstrate it like that. I mean, I think there's like a live BBC that came out like in '84 or something like that or whatever. Well, I don't know, maybe it's '94, I think, yeah. And Warren Cuccolero was in the band at that time, and there's this guy named fuck, what's his name? Sterling Chamber, a Chamberlain.
Okay.
Yeah, Sterling. It's Sterling Campbell. That's his name, Sterling Campbell. And he was brought over by Warren Cuccolero, and was a New York cat, but he's a stomping kind of Bonham-esque, kind of
Yeah,
just funk drummer, And the way he plays the Duran stuff is how I like to play it, right? So we rock it up a little bit, and it's a lot of fun, and it's attractive to some of the other musicians that want to be part of our cast and stuff. So I'm
yeah.
busy. I'm busy to answer your question. It's not very surprising to me because I've been the only member really that if Babylon A.D. to like really be fully tenured, up and just till this year,
Yeah.
Uh, well, 1990, I would say 2019 is exactly when I kind of said, I'm just I'm going to switch gears and do something different. I mean, it was
Yeah.
COVID. We were in production doing we were working on another record, and all the shit started going downhill, with I was in one of Derek's solo bands, with my girlfriend. That's how I met her, Ronnie.
Yeah.
And she auditioned and we met at an audition, and we never split apart. But as the gigs rolled along, I mean, it was okay, it was okay. But I noticed that like a lot of the other bands that were really doing a big draw and really making some decent cash, if that's what you're after, because
Yeah.
a lot of us just play for free, but we wanted more of a business entity kind of party band, kind of like a something that was going to be worth doing and worth branding and that kind of thing. So I went that direction, and it's just worked out ever since,
So
so.
it's a great band to choose. I mean, I've seen them quite a few times over the years, and they actually kept one of my live reviews up there for about 6 years on their website.
Oh, no kidding. That's great. Yeah. I mean,
So, but
maybe leave a
yeah,
review for us. I'm actually revamping my website right now for Duran Duran Duran, and it's going to have a revolving kind of like reviews kind of thing, like one quoters and shit like that. So that's another thing too, like with Babylon AD. I mean, I was the branding guy, I that's what I do for a professional, I mean, in '93 when Babylon AD got dropped, I sucked it up, went back to college and finished my degree in graphic design.
oh,
And
cool.
when I graduated in '99 from San Jose State, I was in a design program. And, it was like 350 applicants, and they only picked 24, and I got in. And so I said, okay, well, this is going to be good, And so by the time I graduated, I got a really cool job, and I was a senior designer for quite a while, and then I just started taking over for everything for the band. I mean, because I'm a branding designer, so I would do web for the band. I do their website. I do all of our print. I do all of our CDs. I do all the merch. I do all that stuff, And so and it's expensive, as you know. I mean, it's
Yeah,
expensive to promote a band, So Babylon A.D. always had an art director, and you'd never know this because it's never been talked about. But if you look at the credits on all the CDs, I make sure my name's on there that I did that stuff.
cool. Yeah,
But no, I mean, it's I just I've got so much, I put so much into this thing, and it's just like it's been great and all that. I'm not saying I wouldn't, go back and do another record or whatever. Right now, I'm just busy. I'm really excited
yeah.
about my stuff, and
It's good to be busy. I mean, over that period of time, I mean, it's hard to keep any sort of relationship together, let alone, I guess, in these days when it's so hard for bands to survive. I mean, it's all down to the merch and
you,
the ticket sales. It's
you're
crazy.
right. And sometimes, I mean, believe it or not, when this stuff started picking up, like probably in 2015, 2015, 16 and stuff. And I'm talking about with everybody, with LA Guns and with like
Yeah,
Fast Cats and stuff. the Monsters of Rock cruise starting to really establish and stuff like that. A lot of times, man, to fly a band, to Florida, to get on a boat, and to play and all that stuff, and to come back home, sometimes you're just gonna make like, just barely in the black, just to do it, and then you're doing it a lot. And we weren't the only ones that had to do that. I mean, everybody did, and we just work with promoters that way. That's why, we got some really good gigs, and they were promising other ones and stuff like that. And then we eventually worked up to like, once it started rolling, we got a little bit more. But man, I don't know. I just, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
But you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's a great
Yeah.
legacy. One of my favorite bands of that period. Like one of the questions I always love to ask people is what got them started? Like when did you pick up those drumsticks for the first time? What was the attraction?
Oh, yeah. My brother actually. My brother started playing drums first, and then our friend came by, and he turned us on to like Kiss Destroyer, and
Oh wow.
it was Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic. I remember turning the album cover over and looking at Joe Perry going, "Whoa, man, that guy's fucking fierce," He looks like a villain or something. But I just really dug their like motley looking image and stuff, and then Kiss, too. And my brother
Yeah.
and I just listened to it constantly. And before you knew it, my mom and dad, we had a piano in the garage. My brother just immediately just started just going to the piano. At that time, he was listening to Elton John a lot too. So he's pretending he's Elton John. He's pretending he's Gene Simmons. I said, "Fuck, I'm taking those sticks, dude. I'm going to be Peter Chris, and you could be Gene Simmons." Because okay, I totally talked him into it. But yeah, I practiced on the lampshade and TV tray, and we just started, putting together. And my mom, before you knew it, we talked my mom and dad and getting some secondhand instruments, and within months, that turned into like the drum set I actually got a record deal on, and I still have it.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So mom and dad were really, really supportive of my career and stuff. They used to take me to some of my gigs when I first met Derek and Rob
Yeah.
Reed. I was 16 years old, and I would have to like actually get dressed like in the kitchen and shit like that. And those guys, and my mom and dad would chaperone me to the
Yeah.
gigs.
Yeah.
So mom and dad were like big supporters of the music of the band and stuff, and they helped the band quite a bit. I mean, we had parties at my house, and my mom and dad kicked money towards demos and all that kind of stuff because my mom and dad were cool. But it was around I don't know, the young age of probably like just getting around 8th grade or something like that, going into
Yeah.
ninth. Before you knew it, I was a junior in high school and I was already playing the clubs. Right?
That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it must have been a wonderful time there for a moment. I mean, I'd love those first two albums. I'd put them up against the first two albums by any band. I've got a lot of love though for Nothing Sacred, but I don't know. Like when I speak to Derek, he doesn't seem to be too keen on that record. What?
See, I mean, for me, working with Tom Werman was like
Yeah,
just amazing. But you know what I gotta say though, Simon Handhart, he was a sweetheart, man, and he what a great producer he was. He's so patient, and he really believed in. It seemed that he could have probably got anybody to play my tracks, or he could have
yeah.
brought other players in, kind of like some of the other bands happened. I think come to some of the stories about some of those other
Oh
bands.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like the
Some
Winger guys making records for him and shit like that. And I'm not going to say any names, but um and like Bo Hill, Bo Hill's he's a tough producer. He'll bring in other guys and stuff. But Simon, I think, understood like the significance of really like getting this band through this weather storm, this baby band, and taking them through the process, which was fucking hell because we had to grow up, man. We were just total like maniacs when we got signed. We were already maniacs. We were like a pack of wolves, like when it first started rolling. I mean, when we first got together, the band was put together within a few months and stuff, and we just took over. We just immediately took over. And we just parted the sea. We walk into the parties, we walk into clubs and just take over. And that's just how we rolled, but what was the question? You got to cut that out. I totally
That's okay. Well, we can do as much editing as you like. I was just saying those first two albums really.
Oh,
Nothing's
I know what
better.
I was going to tell you. Okay, so let me just tell you about Simon. So Simon made us work hard. Okay, so the record company really put it to us. we did a whole month of pre-production. Okay, like I'm talking every day, you know, like, well, actually 6 days a week. Okay, we have one day off, and we go for 10 hours a day, 10 hours at the studio, just cranking through stuff. By the time we were done with that whole drill, we were so in shape and so just sick of it that you go in there and it's a whole different deal. You know, I mean, it's just the record button's going, you're at Ocean Way Studios. There's Roy Orbison coming down the hallway, and you say, "Oh God," you know, and there's Cher. You know, what the fuck am I doing here, right? And it was really cool, man. I mean, there was a point where you know, I mean, I remember cutting my tracks, and you know, we would work on one fucking tune all day long, and I'm just like, why? Like, I mean, this is brutal. And I remember taking a walk and stuff, just going, Jesus, am I even able to do this? I remember calling my mom and shit like that. I'm telling her about. She's like, you get your ass back in that studio and finish that record. I'm like, all right. But it was tough. But when I was doing my shit, I grew up. You know, I grew up, and it really, you feel a breakthrough. You know, it's kind of like when you go to school and shit like that, and you start realizing concepts of classroom or whatever, and you boom, you just have this epiphany. And that's kind of like what happened. And it happened to all of us. At one point in there, you know, you walk out and you're going, Jesus Christ, I've just fucking walked through the worst storm of my life, but I'm here and it sounds fucking good. Yeah. So the thing with Simon was it was just the school of Mutt Lange, you know. It was a different way of recording, and he did it. But I'll tell you something. I didn't like that record when it first came out. I didn't. Because all I listened to it on was CD, and all I listened to it on was on cassette. But I'll tell you something, man. I contacted Simon a couple years ago. When I got to Vegas here, I bought myself a really badass like turntable, analog, purest analog table, pure, you know, no EQ, nothing, just straight off the needle into a preamp, an external preamp, out to some clip speakers, like studio speakers. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, that record sounds brilliant. It was mixed for vinyl, man.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah,
it was. You could just hear the thickness of the tape on that record. I never listened to it. You know, I called him up. I'm all, Jesus Christ, bro. I go, that I got to apologize because I wasn't feeling too good about. But it was just the compression and all the shit from the CDs. You know, that digital process that took a lot of the analog, you know, realness away from what we were actually capturing when we're sitting in the sound booth listening, you know?
Yeah. It's very hard to find on vinyl now as well. It's going for a pretty penny.
Then what we did with the record with Vermin, it was a whole different process. It was like, I mean, he came and saw us a couple times while we rehearsed because you guys are ready to go in the studio. We're all, no, we need to do pre-production. We're like all, you know, like we drank the Kool-Aid. We had to get beat up again. So, you guys are good. You guys are ready. Dude, I was in and out of this. I think I was in and out. I did my tracks, I think, in about 7 or 8 days, you know, the whole thing. And I mean, then I think I went back and even recorded another one because I think it was the Dog Off the Chain or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Danny just come up with it when I was just finishing, and I went back to the studio and we busted that one out in a couple takes, and I was poolside after that, you know. Yeah. Tom was funny. He was funny. We always got. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's a fantastic couple of albums, but when you came back as well, I mean, it was still there. Did it click immediately when you got back together in 2014? Was it?
Who, us? The Babylon?
Yeah.
Oh no! It was we got back together in 1999. Like it was coming out of 98, 99, and we realized like, okay, you know, we figured out that we could hire like, you know, manufacturing services like CD Baby and started our own record company. And we figured, Jesus, you know, our album just about went gold. I know there's been some rumors about it being gold, but it was never certified gold, but I think it was up there. And we figured, well, shit, man, if we sold almost 400,000 records of our first record, you know, and I don't know what the count is on the second one. Let's just say maybe 200. We just did the math and we're going, well, this makes sense. Let's put out a new fucking record, right? So we put out a live record, and then it's kind of the same process they're using the guys are using right now. You know, I mean, a live record and then studio, you know, just to kind of get the vibe going and shit, and then, you know, put out a studio thing and stuff. And we did American Blitzkrieg right after that. And you know what, man? It was kick-ass record, man. My brother played on there. You know, Rob left the band
Yeah,
at that time, and
yeah.
my brother played bass, and he was just we were just so automatic, you know.
I love that one. It's sort of like heavier than I guess the early stuff, but there's some great songs on there.
Well, we were kind of like inspired by like Monster Magnet and like what was that, Godsmack? It was out that at that time. Kind of Corn was fucking kicking ass, and we were just going, geez, everything's just got a lot of angst to it right around now. You know what I mean? You just gotta, we can't be doing like this pop stuff, and we just had we could do whatever we want. It was our own record company, and so we threw it out there, and then it was well packaged. It looks good, and it was a great effort, but. I mean, all that work, man, it's just kind of like goes this way and that way. And so there's been a lot of those, and then when Frontiers like signed us and stuff on when 17 we put out Revelation Highway, I thought
Yeah,
for sure, man, I thought that was going to be, we were there with LA Guns and Journey and Tesla and Y&T on the same label and shit. And I'm just going, fuck, this is going to be freaking badass. And I don't know, man. It's just like we put out 4 videos,
yeah, yeah,
4
yeah.
videos in that thing. And so this is my point, This is when everybody asks me. It's just like I've been on all these rodeos, man, and I'm on another one right now where I'm feeling it,
Yeah.
I feel there's different people, it's a different genre, it's different, it's a whole different thing. It's not like I'm not no rock and roll like heavy metal guy anymore. It's just I'm understanding that just from a business perspective is not only like it's profitable, but it's freaking fun. I'm
Yeah.
having a good time. It's not like it's damn it, God, it's just like all these things. So, yeah, that I really like stand behind my decision to go because I've done them all, bro. I'm on every one of these things. Me and Derek Davis have played on every single song, every single gig, we're the only 2 that have done everything, so
Oh, good on you. I mean, it's always good though to take things in another direction, have that breathing space, and like you say, if it's working, why wouldn't you? I mean, it's the music business after all, and I couldn't think of a better band to sort of like take on the road. I saw you've already got a few gigs, sort of
yeah.
April to June lined up as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
which is
no,
cool.
actually, I'm booked up. We're booked up from April to November. I only put a few. I
Wow.
put a few up there, but I have gigs up to November right now, and they're
Yeah.
they're top tier places. I mean, there's a couple places that I go and play because personal friends and stuff. And the guy, the owner takes care of me and stuff. At this one little pub, but it's in my hometown. So it's
Yeah.
always fun to go home and all the people come out and all. My mom comes out all the time. But the Walnut Creek gig is pretty nice, and then the one in Roseville is great. We
Mm.
had Las Vegas pretty tied up, but there's a place we were playing. It was called the Rockstar Bar, almost on the south end of the strip, kind of down the way from Mandalay Bay, where the golf
Okay.
course is, on
Yeah.
the south end of the strip. Man, Steve Johns over there, what a sweetheart of a guy, man. I met him. That was like the first place I went out. A friend of mine named Carrie, she called me up. She's all, come down here. Todd Kearns hangs down here, and everyone's down here. I'll introduce you. Everybody, all the rock stars like hang out here. And I'm like, okay. So me and my girl went out there, and I was introduced to him, and I worked him for about a good 4 months. But I had I had all these assets. I had everything together with the band. I
Yeah.
had our website, our branding, I had our videos, I had everything. And he just couldn't say no because he goes, dude, man, your freaking presentation is freaking top notch. I go, yeah, I do it myself. He's no way. So we established a really good business relationship, and we did some really fantastic gigs. I'm about ready to get some bookings, out here at a couple casinos and stuff I can't really talk about and stuff.
Yeah. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and
Brilliant.
it's so that's going to be added to some of these gigs. This is just some of the stuff that you see on the press release and shit, but we have a lot of other irons in the fire, and we really want to get a residency where we could work with the director of entertainment and really bring a really nice experience and use the full capacity of the venue to bring
Yeah.
an experience to the fans. You know what I mean? So
Oh,
that's really that's my picture. I mean,
you're in the right place. I'll put the links up. We'll go.
right, and I'm also branding designer too, so I understand video and I understand packaging and I understand brand, so it's all about that. So if you're branded the proper way and you're representing my girl, she's she's my partner, and we own the brand together. And she's the bass player, Ronnie Wagner, and she's been my girlfriend for 4 years now. And when we acquired the brand, we just looked at each other, and she's a retired attorney, and
Yeah.
I'm a brand designer, and that's our profession. That's where we went back to school to do that shit, But we're back in the music business again. We're in the music business. We love the music business. And so, we just have really good ethical offerings to our cast and to our clients and to our communications to our clients and stuff. And, it's working out. It really works out when you know how to write an email and you know how to do business with people. You know what I mean? You're not doing, hey, dude, they book me up, and all that shit, right? So, and I knew a lot of people that booked Babylon A.D. already, when I called around, like in Los Angeles when we're playing down there. There's some booking agents and shit like that going, oh, Jamey, what's going on, man? I booked you guys at the whiskey and all that. And I'm all, hey, you got a gig for me, right? So it's been pretty easy to get, not easy, but because I have to work it, because I'm the booking agent too. I do the booking. I manager, my girlfriend, she's the manager of communications. I'm manager of brand. I manage the band, all the tracks, everything, so it's a lot of fucking responsibility. Because our cast, all they got to do is just show up, and then they can go up and do their other gig after that shit. You have to figure all out the business and all that stuff. But it's better that way.
It sounds great. All the best of luck for you. I've just got two quick questions, if we can, just to put up on the radio show, because we've got a radio show over here as well. We ask everyone these for the first time. If you could have been a fly on the wall for the creation of any great rock and roll album in the history of rock and roll, what would you love to have seen being made?
Led Zeppelin 1, Good Times, Bad Times. The John Bonham. Yeah. I'm a John Bonham freak, and I played in a Zeppelin tribute band for a while, when Babylon A.D. was on hiatus again. And, I had the best time just, analyzing, studying, understand the folklore of Zeppelin and stuff. And it's just, you just get so into it, It's just a wormhole of like information that just, it's intriguing,
Yeah, Jason Bonham's actually here where we are in this week doing his Zeppelin show, so that should be
right on. Cool. He used to hang out at the Rainbow all the time when I was living in Hollywood and shit like that. Yeah. So, and we'd go out there and be like him, Lemmy, a couple other dudes, like, you know what I mean? It was like low key and shit, right? Yeah. Just hanging out like with Lemmy and shit. And it was just like totally cool, so.
It's always cool, always great to visit. And it's a shame there's so little of, I guess, what was there in the 80s there now, but still some of it. So still worth a trip. And the last question, the easiest one of the entire afternoon for you: what is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life, music and creativity. That's my meaning. That's how I live my life.
I think you're right. It's been absolutely wonderful talking to you, Jamey. Thank you so much for your time. If ever you need anything, just shoot me a line. Ever you want to chat, ever you want to do the Duran Duran exclusive interview, that's something we can do too.
Okay, that's cool, man. If we ever do like a live feed or something like that, I'll be sure to include you and stuff. And if you're ever in Vegas, look me up. We live, we live in a beautiful place here in Desert Shores, and it's gorgeous. Actually, all the rocks. Stephen Piercy lives around the corner from me, from what I'm told. So.
Oh right, okay, yeah. I often come over there and catch up with Paul Shortino when I'm in town.
On Rockpit, right?
Yeah, he's a
a friend of mine plays in that. Was Oren Maddox. He plays in.
Oh yeah. Good. Okay, mate. Well, take care of yourself. Have a good day.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for your time, Mark. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks, Jamey.
All right,
mate.
See you. Bye.